This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Hello there and welcome to Global Business Africa. We'll be giving you insight into Africa's business and financial markets. I'm Uche Okoronkwo coming to you from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Let's start with a look at the markets. Now, markets were pretty upbeat today across board as positive manufacturing data from the US and Europe 60% fall in its first half earnings. The sales were weighed down by constraints on alcohol, tobacco and clothing sales during the lockdown and by voluntary severance payments. Now, Pick n Pay says headline earnings per share for the 26 weeks to August 30th will be down more than 42.52 cents from 85.03 cents last year. Meanwhile, BP has halved its shareholder dividend and posted a record $6.7 billion quarterly loss after the pandemic hit global demand. The loss was largely due to BP writing down the value of its assets after it cut its oil price forecasts. The firm has already announced it will cut about 10,000 jobs, with as many as 2,000 set to be lost in the UK. And finally, U.S. regulators have put forward a wide-ranging list of changes to Boeing 737 MAX planes. The document details actions which it wants to be made before the planes can once again fly commercially. Now, proposed changes include updating flight control software, as well as revising crew procedures and rerouting international wiring. The 737 MAX has been grounded since March 2019 following 2 fatal crashes which killed about 346 people. And that is a look at our corporate headlines. Well, we are taking a short break now, still coming up after this. Somalia's mobile money markets give fellow African nations a run for their money. And flooding destroys property worth millions of dollars in the Kenyan Rift Valley lakes.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Africa is the nexus of enterprise, and Global Business will tell you why it matters.
From the mega investment projects to multi-billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions.
Africa today collects, just in terms of revenues from taxes alone, $545 billion a year. If you take 10% of that and you devote it to the energy sector, problem solved.
All this on Global Business, weekdays at this time on CGTN.
Welcome back. Now, South Sudan's government is implementing measures to mitigate the economic impact of the global fall in oil prices as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The country relies heavily on revenue from oil, but of course, measures put in place to stop the spread of COVID-19 are now hampering production and affecting income. Here's CGTN's Patrick Oyet reporting.
COVID-19 restrictions are disrupting the flow of oil production in South Sudan. The closure of seaports in neighboring Sudan has negatively affected means of reaching international markets, and limited transport has created issues getting hold of necessary chemicals.
The prices of oil really went down so much that it was not really earning us enough foreign currency for the nation to be able to do whatever they want to do.
Oil money funds 98% of South Sudan's budget. It has been bringing much needed foreign currency into South Sudan, but business people here now say hard currency is scarce, the local currency is losing value and prices of goods are rising, and it is having effects on shopkeepers.
Customers are coming just a little in a day. You can't get even much. In the shop, both business, mobile money, and the shop. That is the only challenges we are facing. We get now a little few sales in a day.
South Sudan is among the most oil-dependent countries in the globe, according to the World Bank, so the government is trying to encourage production in other areas of the economy. South Sudan's economy is characterized by subsistence farming and pastoralism. Most of the commodities in the markets are imported, and that creates more demand on the hard currency, which is currently not readily available. South Sudan's government is saying it is starting to buy locally mined gold with the intention to purify it and build a durable reserve.
Should we have enough foreign currency from the gold that we have? That means we will stabilize the market. When we stabilize the market, the prices will come down. When the prices will come down, even the exchange rates definitely will come down.
The COVID-19 pandemic has derailed South Sudan's plans to increase its crude oil production. It is now revising its plans in the hopes of an economic revival elsewhere. Patrick Oyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.
Well, let's head over to Somalia now, a country that has emerged as an unlikely mobile money success story in Africa. Now, according to a World Bank report, the country has one of the most active mobile money markets in the world, outpacing most other nations in Africa. Today, mobile money has even overtaken the use of cash in the country. Now, in urban centers, mobile money penetration is estimated at over 80%, and in rural areas, it has become the currency of choice with a penetration rate of 55%. Some of the key reasons mobile money has been allowed to thrive are the high prevalence of fake money, as well as the absence of monetary regulation, and of course, limited access to traditional banking services in the country. As a result, the telecom sector has become one of the leading industries in the country's private sector. Well, let's get the latest developments in the sector from Somalia's leading telecoms provider, Hormuud Telecoms. We're joined by Abdallah Mohamud. He's Hormuud's head of international relations. Great to have you on the show with us, sir. Now, let's start with a picture of Somalia's mobile money sector. How is it different from other African nations? And of course, how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted its growth?
Thank you, and good evening to everyone. And I think, as you just mentioned, I think there's almost more than 80% penetration rate of mobile money, and specifically in Somalia. And Somalia is different for the reasons that it went ahead a long time before the pandemic, because of the security reasons associated with Somalia moving around money and all this stuff. So it was already doing very well in terms of penetration. And as you are aware of, Somalia's mobile money is different to other subscribers over the world because it's free. Our subscribers use the mobile money for free. And one other reason why it has been very popular was because of the logistical and the infrastructures are very poor, and this made the mobile money penetration and the need for that has been prevalent for the last 20 years, and this should be at the mind. And not to forget, Somalia had no strong government over the last 30 years, and the private sector was doing most of this and filling these gaps.
Well, actually, Somalia now is heading towards becoming a fully cashless economy. In fact, the use of mobile money has overtaken the use of cash in the country. So let's talk about how it's been able to achieve this. What's been the progress made so far, especially as it pertains to digital infrastructure in the country?
Indeed, and Somalia was one of the first countries who has been described as a cashless society, and one of the areas that we have seen a tremendous development was the use of ICT and mobile money, and in terms of infrastructure, and we have the latest technology in terms of 4G and 4.5G. We have cable networks coming over to the country in the next few months, and some have already been in existence, and we have providing us vital services in terms of of cable links to Somalia over the last 10 years. And yes, Hormuz is the leading in terms of this development, and it has been the leading company over the last 15 years, and more so, it's a company who just started merely with 250 shareholders. Today, we are talking about 12,000 shareholders, and we are talking about over 30,000 staff working for the company, and it's a pole position to spearhead us to the next digital success for Africa.
Now, you actually say, you as Hormuz say, you're targeting 100% mobile money penetration. Give us a sense of how you plan to achieve that.
Indeed, that's a very aspirational target in terms when we talk about relatively modest from the seat of the managers and the leaders for the company. And this can be only achieved in conjunction with the other sector, like the government sector. For example, if we have to do more penetration of the sector, we will need the introduction of e-government, we will need the introduction of e-education, e-health, and primarily this can only spur more growth in terms of job creation and closing of the gender gap, and also providing the money banking for the unbanked. And all this can be achieved in conjunction and working relationship with a stronger government sector.
So regulation.
That's what's happening now.
Right.
Yes, regulation, yes.
Well, let's talk about the future of the mobile money sector in Somalia. It has been reported that we could see finance firms now partnering with mobile money firms or mobile operators in the country, telecoms operators. For example, remittance companies are now looking to partner with mobile operators to transfer funds directly. So where do you see the telecom sector heading going forward, and certainly the growth of the mobile money sector in the coming years?
I think in the coming years, telecom services and mobile money will be vital for Somalia's post-COVID-19 development rebuilding. And already these factors you just mentioned are already happening, and it has been happening over the last few years. It's a trend that was happening over the last years. Already some remittance companies are connected on the system, providing straight money sent from Europe or other destinations, straight coming to the mobile wallets of subscribers here in Somalia. And this will only have a knock-on effect in terms of job creation. It will raise local investment, and these mostly investments are from the diaspora, trying to invest more in Africa and in Somalia. And this will also, as I just mentioned before, narrow down the gender gap in terms of inclusion of economic inclusion for the women and the youth.
Well, we're certainly watching. Many thanks for your insights, Mr. Mohammed. That's Abdallah Mohammed. He is Hormuz's head of international relations. Well, let's move on now. Meanwhile, property worth millions of dollars has been destroyed following a sharp rise in water levels in the Kenyan Rift Valley lakes. Lake Naivasha levels in particular have caused a major destruction as estates, flower farms, as well as hotels remain submerged. Nick Mudimba reports from Naivasha.
100 kilometers from Kenya's capital, Nairobi City, is Lake Naivasha, one of the fresh water lakes in Kenyan Rift Valley. The lake is 14 kilometers across with shallow waters with an average depth of 30 meters. At the beginning of the 20th century, the lake completely dried up and disappeared until heavy rains a few years back saw a rebirth of the lake. And now it's getting worse. The water levels have risen sharply. Homes, hotels and farms have been destroyed, and most business owners had to move to higher grounds for safety. More than 2,000 people have been displaced. Businesses have been affected. Safer higher ground is now the main focus.
We have really been affected. Our shops, our hotels are all submerged. We were not able to rescue anything while we were there. Business was booming, but at the moment it's not profitable. I have had to sell my car and I don't have enough space for my stock, and the flow of customers is low due to the COVID-19 scare.
and then sasa customer waingi kama kitambo kwa ajili ya corona.
According to the latest data by the Kenya Meteorological Department, the lake's level is currently at 1,891 meters above sea level, 11 meters higher than it was in December last year. Large portion of the water is covered by hyacinth. It has covered the whole area, but on closer look, it's catastrophic. In the process, pit latrines and shallow wells have all been submerged in water, posing health risks to the residents. We take a boat ride to the affected areas. Here, things are bad. Main priority now is survival. We meet Anne Wahome, a mother of one. The risks and dangers posed by the lake water is something she's used to now. The sewer has mixed with the water now. Due to the financial baggage, she cannot move out of the place. Every step she takes accessing a house is a step of hope that one day life will be back to normal.
Life has been very difficult here with my baby. I do not bring her outside these days because the water is dirty, and if she gets into contact with it, she will fall sick. We have no option but to persevere because we don't have money to move.
I managed to access an abandoned estate. The danger here is mind-boggling. So what I'm entering right now is actually a residential place, and as you can see, it's just purely like the lake weed, the hyacinth as many call it. And these are houses, and guys have been staying here and they had to move because all this is just water from the lake.
We were affected by the lake's water levels. The water came into our houses. We just migrated. Our businesses were affected, houses were affected, and even now as we are talking, we're in imminent danger.
Some are unable to access their houses on foot. Modified floaters are coming to the rescue, and some struggle to access their homes. The nearby hotels, which boasted proximity near the beach, felt the wrath. All the structures have been destroyed and the shells remaining tell it all. Now behind me was once a very active tours and safari booking offices. COVID-19 came with its share of troubles. International tourists were not able to come here. And right now, local tourists can't also access this place, courtesy of the heavy rains being experienced in this region. The Kenya Meteorological Department has warned of more rains in the region, but help is what the residents here desire.
We haven't received any support. If there was support, we would have been taken and relocated to somewhere safer.
Since the water started coming here, our main job was to rescue people. We were promised help, but no one came to our rescue. We are used to these problems, whether they come to our rescue or not.
The affected residents live hoping the waters will subside. Their battles aren't over. It's hope that motivates them, a powerful mindset that despite all that's happening in the territory, they'll come out victorious. Nick Mudimba, CGTN, Naivasha, Kenya.
You're watching Global Business Africa. Let's take a quick break now. Still to come. China's service trade declines by 15% in the first half of this year because of COVID-19. And a coronavirus package offers UK diners a 50% discount.
No one again, he can hold in guns. Machine guns from police forces toward the protesters.
Were you worried about your life at that particular time? Not at all.
The Excellency, thank you very much for your time. Now, what is your assessment of the state of the continent today?
Africa has the potential to power itself.
Excuse me.
Business in Africa is at a crossroads. We celebrate those who are adopting and thriving despite the challenges, from grassroots to big businesses. Global Business takes you along for the ride as we track the making of a giant. Only on CGTN.
Accra is my kind of city. That's because when I'm here, I feel like I'm back home in Lagos or Abidjan, which are two of the major cities I grew up in.
Business in Africa is high risk.
After about a decade covering business news on the continent, I've learned it's all about the high risk, but also the high returns and the high energy. You simply have to adjust in order to keep pace. When I started out as a journalist, my dream was to open people's minds to the different perspectives. From the CEO in the boardroom to the trader out in the street, we all have different stories. From Accra to Addis Ababa, from Cairo to Cape Town, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Here at CGTN, we realize that Africa is on the move, and it's moving fast, but we're moving right along with it. I'm Uche Okoronkwo, and I'm a business anchor and reporter at CGTN.
Well, let's turn to the Chinese economy now. The Ministry of Commerce reports that China's service trade declined about 15% in the first half of this year, and that's because of the coronavirus pandemic. The ministry has said that the service trade ticked in at 2.2 trillion yuan. The pandemic curbed cross-border travel, and that significantly reduced tourism and professional services for China. Now, tourism services were hurt the most. Meanwhile, China will host a service trade exhibition in September to support the recovery of the sector, especially for services involving 5G communications, artificial intelligence, finance, and winter sports. Meanwhile, the UK government will pay restaurants to offer discounts to diners that could see their bills slashed in half. It is part of a scheme to get the hospitality industry back at the table. CGTN's Andrew Wilson reports from London.
Preparations for a brisk Monday lunch at high-end Italian restaurant Villa di Geggiano, expecting a crowd boosted perhaps by the Chancellor's scheme. The government wants people spending, and the hospitality sector is still struggling. 50% off from Monday to Wednesday is the deal on the table, up to a limit of $13 a head. And so far, 72,000 establishments have taken it up.
It's now up to the public, and it's now up to industry, all industries, to actually, find a way through this, being able to carry on plying your trade as we are. We may have to limit capacity for a little while, but we'll all get through this. So we're very optimistic.
For Britain, any recovery lies in consumption: eating, drinking, shopping, and leisure. All this is part of our new post-lockdown reality, wrestling with surprises and upsets as they present themselves. So to that end, the government has announced the acquisition of 2 new on-the-spot 90-minute testing kits to roll out next week across the country, while at the same time, Manchester police have declared a major incident in the city following local spikes in infection rates. Britain's antivirus armoury is growing day by day. Down the road, Fanus is filling up with office workers taking a break. The owner says it's been tough and admits that confidence is the barrier to cross.
I think most people are scared to come out and to be in a restaurant with others. But maybe as it goes down, it'll be okay and people will feel better to come out. It's very encouraging to give 50% discount, so that might be a great help.
And the diners seem to agree.
Really good. I mean, it just allows us to come out, eat out, help local businesses like Fanus survive, I suppose. So for us, it's an absolute bonus.
I mean, ultimately, if people actually get out and brave it a little bit, then it certainly will help places like this stay afloat. It's great.
The scheme only lasts a month, but with the situation changing so dramatically almost every day, a month could be a post-lockdown lifetime. Andrew Wilson, CGTN, London.
And let's turn our attention to commodity markets now. Gold prices held steady near record highs today. So far, gold has risen 30% this year, as of course investors use it as a hedge against inflation and also amid fears of weakening currencies. Of course, investors are worried about the global economic fallout from mounting COVID-19 cases. Prices, of course, were still capped by pressure from a rebound in the US dollar. Meanwhile, oil prices sliding almost 2% today. Traders say there is evidence of a recovery in oil demand now stalling. Also, OPEC and OPEC Plus are stepping up output this month. They're adding around 1.5 million barrels a day of supply to the market.
My family has been doing this artwork for the past 600 years.
My dream is to be the leading player in Africa in spice sector.
Nobody in the region consumes it. Even me cannot afford the vanilla cooking.
What we've created here is the elegance, the color, the celebration of life.
Now, Madagascar produces nearly 80% of the world's commercial vanilla. The price for first-grade extraction of vanilla beans from the island hit about $600 per kilogram in 2018. Now, this increase is due to a number of factors, including vanilla bean theft and extreme weather changes. We traveled to Madagascar's Sava region and met farmers looking at an innovative way to grow the vanilla orchid, as well as improve its quality as demand for the natural flavor increases.
This island nation produces nearly 80% of the world's vanilla. Regarded as the world's most popular aroma and flavor, used in foods, beverages, and cosmetics. Though, in recent years, vanilla prices have skyrocketed to more than $500 a kilogram, which makes it more valuable than silver. In short, everyone's go-to flavor for ice cream is about to get more expensive. We traveled to Madagascar's Sava region to find out how the sought-after spice is cultivated.
Tiako be le mamboly satria sady mikarakary azy. Satria tsisy vary zany za kena mamboly fa raha ohatra tsy voakarakara tsisy vary. Pour rien zany za. Io zany no atiavako azy. Ny atiavako le hoe le tany mihitsy zany naturel, voajanahary izy ty. De mamokatra izy, tegna mamokatra. Zay zany mahatonga za hoe mamboly am'le raha misy satria voajanahary izy. De za zany tsisy karazagna nianatra télé-école tamin'izy ty fô karazagna izy fa misy ray aman-dreny tena namboly igny atao karaha ty de mamboly fa zegny za. Nagnaranazy zany de hoe Philbert Primo. De za zany 5 taogno. Managna renin-karatra. Ny asanazy zany mpamboly lavany. Amin'ny fokony eo amin'ny fokotany misy za. Za zany président nandravasim-pokon'olo.
My great-grandfather from my mother part, he leave China, so he get in the ship and go to Mauritius first, and then from Mauritius he get to Voemar in Sava. And he finds the place very fine, and he decided to stay in Madagascar. And first he was doing the fish business and set up in Voemar. And this is how my family started in Madagascar. 我的名字是陈宇树，我以前是个土木工程师，重新搞起来，想现在重新种香草。
Fomba karaha ty zegny resaka fikarakaragna ity lavany ity. Izy ty zegny 5 taogno zegny délai-nazy, dia rehefa afaka 5 taogno izy dia maty zegny izy. Dia soloina amizay zegny izy. Dia rehefa soloina izy dia afaka taogno araiky izy magnano fleur ty, magnano fleur. Tsy hainiky fleur voalohany mbola bouton karaha ty zegny izy. Dia rehefa afaka ambolagna mahay mitombo boky bouton ty dia magnome karaha ty zegny izy. Dia rehefa magnome karaha ty amizay izy dia magnome karazagna fleur karaha ty zegny izy. Izy magname fleur igny izy dia fomba hosivoana amizay sokafigna izy dia misy raha hely zegny agnaty ao apakatra magnano igny izy avy amizay tireny izy. Izy avy zegny mandritra ny 12 heures izy malazo zegny izy dia tsiraraka zegny izy fa mipetraka fô zegny izy. Isan'andro amizay izy le vita igny dia mitombo jusqu'à izy ohatran'igny. Fa le problème de zao rehefa mirecolte zay avy dahalo sy le mpangalatra mandrava zay. Misy tsy mitondra fiadiagna maro isan-karazany, mamono, tsy vitany mamono fa le vola zay amian'izay zay vidiny io zavatra ivangian'jare aminay lavany igny mbola tafen'jare kay vonoan'jare. Ny androm-basim-pokon'ologno karaha ty. Ny fanjakana zegny no namorogna azy. Dia hoe magnano antsoavo ny fanjakana hoe nataontsika hoe 30 ao agnatin'ny fokon-tany araiky ny androm-basim-pokon'ologno mavoretina edy samborina tsy popoigny aterina amizare dia
I try to modernize the plantation first to control the fifth of the vanilla beans. When it is concentrated in a greenhouse, it is more easy to control the fifth. You can put camera, you can put dog inside. And secondly, for the profitability, usually 1 acre of fields in the traditional way, you can get hundreds of kilograms of vanilla. In a greenhouse, you can get even 700 kilograms per acre. So this is very, very high profitability. And secondly is you can control the climate in the greenhouse and make the flower pop up anytime you want, instead of waiting for the season of flowers. So this is the main reason people are changing into greenhouse. And now I'm not alone. Many big companies now are switching for the greenhouse. Yes, the new method of planting vanilla in Sava now consists to concentrate all the vanilla vines in one small place. It looks like this because the vanilla vine is growing up and up. If you don't stop it somewhere, for instance, in the hanger there, he has to get down again and go up and get down and go up. At the end, you will have many, many vines concentrated in this trunk. This is one contradiction point of Sava. Nobody in the region consumes it. Even myself, I just use it for doing some patisserie, and seldomly I cook it, but it's very rare, especially now. Even me cannot afford the vanilla cooking. Vanilla is expensive. The usual reason is only there is not enough production in the world to meet the market. And now there is a tendency of natural products, and the main reason is the demand cannot be stopped, so it's very hard to keep the price low actually.
Za zao tegna niasa lavany 5 taogno ary nampiova fiaignana zay zegny ndraha misy malôha magnologna izy ka fa nisy vidiny lavany nandritra ny 5 taogno taty tegna hitanao fa nivoatra be zegny za tafiainana ohatra za fa navita tragno fa misy fanifanaka an-tragno misy raha talon zegny tagny izy ty mbola tsisy vidiny be million zao tsisy raha ilagna izy ty na ôlo tsy tromba mba mangalangalatra ty zegny mbe olo fo izy ka fa nisy vidiny dia nangalatra ny olo fa za zao manana tombontsoa be noho ny fananko lavany.
L'impact ou les effets du changement climatique est visible dans tous les secteurs et dans tous les écosystèmes. Sur la Terre, au niveau du côté terrestre, on voit beaucoup d'insuffisance de pluie. Et comme ça a aussi entraîné des effets sur le climat en général, il y a les cyclones qui deviennent de plus en plus violents, qui rôdent les côtes. Donc les côtes deviennent de plus en plus étroites. Il y a l'augmentation de la température, il y a le décalage des saisons, la pluie n'arrive plus au même moment, il y a augmentation de la durée de la sécheresse. Et l'impact c'est visible au niveau de la terre donc, où il y a un changement de la manière de cultiver. Quand la saison est décalée, les gens, les producteurs ne savent plus comment faire. Donc, quand il y a une augmentation de la température, ça joue donc sur les phénomènes, sur l'activité biologique de la vanille. Et le grand défi, c'est comment impliquer donc le gouvernement, le ministère de l'Agriculture, dans tout ça, comment impliquer la recherche pour trouver ensemble donc des solutions pour aider les communautés de producteurs de vanille.
And before we close today's show, here's a quick look at Africa's currency. South Africa's rand firming up slightly today. It's pausing after a 5-session long steep slide as demand for US dollars eased. Now it has lost more than 1% as the new week of the new month began on the back of uncertainty and concerns about global growth. Investors, of course, are waiting for new signals on the pace of a global economic recovery. Well, that's it for this edition of Global Business Africa. Remember, you can send your feedback to the contacts on your screen. You can also follow us on our various digital media platforms. From me, Uche Okoronkwo, and the rest of the team, thanks for watching.